Hey guys, Drifter here. I just got out of a press briefing about Modern Warfare 3 Season 1, and oh my god, it was absolutely massive. I'm sure most of you have probably already seen this ridiculous, I need a magnifying glass zoom in, how can you expect me to read this on mobile, Season 1 roadmap. So unfortunately, I wasn't part of the guys that got to go to the studio and play early because I can't travel, but I did get to talk to the developers. I went through a really long meeting of all the changes, and I've got a ton of new information to talk about that's not in the trailer or anywhere else online. But without further ado, I'm going to play the trailer and talk over it. So in case you've been living in a cave or under a rock, Season 1 of Modern Warfare 3 launches on December 6th. It's going to be a massive content update, not only adding Warzone, but also multiplayer maps, 2v2 maps, cosmetics, guns, and several things for zombies, multiple zombie maps that I'm going to need to get into here. But I think the big focus is Warzone. I think that's the thing that we don't currently have. So Warzone is going to be launching with the new Urzikstan map, which you see in the trailer, but Vondel and Ashika Island are going to be launching too. And it's about a 100-player game. I was kind of surprised on this. The developers said it would be 100 players instead of 150 players, with the goal here being a faster-paced battle royale with better mid-game engagements. Because Urzikstan is 20% smaller than Al Mazrah, and the ring timing is also a lot faster, such that it should take approximately 20 minutes to get to the final ring. So the idea here is a little bit less players, a little bit smaller map, little bit faster ring times, because the developers felt that in Modern Warfare 2 or Warzone 2.0 on, I believe it's Al Mazrah, what would happen is the beginning was really hype. People would land and fight hard, a big lull in the middle, and then a lot of chaos at the end. And they believe that this method will kind of smooth out the combat pacing. It's going to launch with Battle Royale, Plunder, and Resurgence. And supposedly in 2024, we're going to get Rebirth Island and a couple of other classic Battle Royale maps coming back as well. And then finally, on top of all of that, we got a new Gulag and a massive quality of life list changes. So I can't tell you all of these. There was literally hundreds of items. In the press briefing, they blew it up on this giant screen and had a developer read through it insanely fast. It's good. It's good that they're doing these hundreds of, quality of life changes, but it was so much I could not have ever hoped to possibly write that down and have it good to go for a video in time. At the end of the Warzone section, there's some stuff you probably already know. The terrain on the map is drivable by players. You have horizontal zip lines, new contracts. There's a public flyby event that I don't even know what that does, and an in-game event called Champion's Quest, which I don't have a lot of info on yet. So there's actual gameplay changes coming to Warzone as well. So moving along, we're going to talk about some of the changes to 6v6 multiplayer, then zombies, and then just a couple of random thoughts at the end. So 6v6 multiplayer is getting, I think it's 3 new maps, but I mean actually new maps. We're getting one called Meat, which is a little close quarters grind fest. We're getting one called Greece, which actually reminds me a lot of the Greek maps from Overwatch with that bright white stone. It does have water combat areas that you can fight in, and Rio, which is a little bit more of a normal map. But these are actually new. They're not remade. They're not remastered. That's something I complained about in my original review, is that I wanted more new maps and not necessarily these remakes that are quite fun, but I need something to tickle my brain other than nostalgia. And they're also adding one 2v2 map to regular base multiplayer called Training Facility, which is a teaser that gunfight mode is coming back. The good classic 2v2 and 1v1 gunfight modes are likely to come back, which is fun. I personally really enjoyed those modes. Then moving along, we have a bunch of new weapons. We have the XRK Stalker Sniper Rifle, the Ram 7 Assault Rifle, which looks a lot like the Ram from Modern Warfare 19. We have the Storm Mender, which I don't even pretend to understand. And then we have an SMG and Attack Evolve for mid-season updates. But that's not all for multiplayer. We're getting ranked play, which is a blessing. Maybe we can keep the skill matching and ranked play and out of regular multiplayer. Almost all of the rifles are getting this underbarrel flamethrower attachment. It had this crazy name that I wasn't able to write down in time because this meeting was so fast. But in addition to underbarrel grenades and shotguns and smokes, there's now going to be an underbarrel flamethrower, which I'm hoping isn't too strong, but does sound fun. Maybe it comes with some big drawbacks. In terms of balancing passes, they're doing an overall buff to SMGs, an overall nerf to assault rifles to kind of bring them more in line to where they should be. And they're getting various riot shield nerfs. There's now a penalty for movement or some kind of penalty when it's on your back. They've done some works on the hitbox to make it a little bit less wonky. And they've tried to make it deal less damage per bonk. I usually say per shot, but for riot shield, it's per bonk when you hit people. So hopefully the shields end up being significantly less annoying. Okay, after that, let's talk about zombies, because zombies is getting a surprisingly big update. It's been surprisingly popular and fun for this game. There is a new mode called Vortex, and it comes with 3 reimagined multiplayer maps. You can actually see that on the roadmap. It's super tiny, called Satan's Quarry, which is molten, Tetanus, which is like a rotten rust, and Spore Yard instead of Scrapyard. And the way these work are you get the ray gun on the map, you get some different weapons and some different equipments. We load zombies in, there's different missions. They're sort of like classic zombie maps, but they're pretty small. These aren't very big maps, so I imagine it's going to be more like, what was that super tiny one? The original zombies map. Kino der Untoten. I'm so stupid. It's the super, super tiny one that's just 2 stories and you run around in circles. I imagine it's going to be a lot more like that, but the reimaginings of the maps look really cool. I feel like I would like to play those in regular multiplayer. That's the tiny update, the 3 classic maps, you could say. The big one is that Modern Warfare Z, or MWZ, is getting a new story mission update as Act 4 begins. You're supposed to be able to enter the dark ether through these big triangular portals that spawn on the map that honestly look like a lot like the ones from the movie Enter the Void, which kind of makes sense since we're all going Lovecraftian here. And the developers at Treyarch said this is intended to set the bar for post-launch content, to add a lot more story, a lot more quality to the story, a lot more things to do. There's new blueprints, there's golden plates, an ether knife, there's various, there's this dog bone thing where you can summon friendly hellhounds to come and attack people. Tons of new blueprints to extract with, new enemies, secrets they wouldn't tell us about, and a new wonder weapon, the VR-11, or the Vril, returns, which you may remember from Call of the Dead. And the way the Vril works in this MWZ is that if you shoot zombies, you turn them into friendly mercenaries for, I think it's 15 seconds, and then their heads explode. And if you shoot mercenaries, you turn them into friendly zombies for 15 seconds, and then their head explodes. So it's kind of like a very reliable brain rot. And it does something if you shoot teammates. I can't actually remember what it was. It kind of boosts them and helps them. But anyway, the point being that Zombies is getting a huge update. We're getting some remastered multiplayer maps with some more classic zombies. We're getting a new act of the story. We're getting a whole new ether. We get to go into the dark ether, which is pretty fun. New wonder weapons, just tons and tons of stuff. And apparently extractions are being reworked as well. So I think that's all of the news that I was able to go over quite rapidly. The only things I think that you can kind of see in the roadmap are, of course, we have this Santa's Playground event where you have to ride Santa's sleigh and kill people. The big content that's coming out is The Boys and Dune Part 2. I was really hyped to hear that The Boys Season 4 is not the end, that we're getting a Season 5 as well, so that's quite fun. I'm going to be able to play A-Train, and I hope to God somebody is able to do a speed mod where they can just bzz, bzz, bzz all over the map as A-Train. And they do say Souped Up is coming, which I don't think people really enjoyed the first Souped Up, but when you gotta work with what you got. So, my opinions on all of this. I think the Zombies update is looking fantastic. It looks a lot like what Zombies needs. A lot of new toys to play with, new ways to interact with the game. The Dark Ether is quite fun. The multiplayer update is good, but it's relatively minor. Just adding a couple of new maps and gunfight isn't massive. At least they're new maps. At least we get a little bit more variety. There's a ton of new weapons coming, which is kind of surprising and honestly a little bit overwhelming given how difficult it is to level up and unlock the weapons currently with the armory unlock system, and the balance is chaotic, and I don't feel like people have really honed in on the meta yet, and we're splashing 3 more new, probably strong weapons into the mix. But the meat of this update, the really cool, important part, was Warzone itself. Warzone's getting the new Urzikstan map. It's getting a new focus on faster battle. I don't like going from 150 to 100 players. That feels like a step down, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you can play, what is it? Apex Legends has only 60 players, and there's plenty of fighting going on there. You know, you're not really hurting for it. So it depends more on how the map is designed. Urzikstan looks really good. Points of interest look good. The way you get around the map and the things that happen look good. We're still getting Plunder, Resurgence, Vondel, all these kind of classic maps back. We're going to get Fortune's Keep and Resurgence later. And I think the biggest, most hype, best looking part of this whole update is Warzone. Warzone is just looking downright fantastic. Obviously, I haven't been able to play it yet. I know some people played at the reveal and probably at the studio. So I'll be playing it with all of you when it goes live, probably on the 6th, maybe the 7th. I gotta not stress these weak little hands too much because I stress them enough as is playing games. And hopefully it's fun. I'll have some content for you. I'm really hyped for Warzone. If you can't tell, Warzone is really the thing that I care about here. Zombies is nice for chill, like relax time. Multiplayer is honestly a little stressful, so I'm hoping that Warzone is fun. And that's all for the news and my opinions. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. And if I screwed up some information, please give me a break. I recorded this entire commentary, and I think maybe one take, like immediately, like seconds after the press briefing was done, because that's when the embargo lifts and we went straight to live.